So method 1 is a really easy way of making pom-poms using just your hand, some different wools or threads. I'm putting 3 different colours together here, but you can use just one colour thread. The choice is yours. So the more different threads you have, the more colourful your pom-pom will end up being, and it will actually make the wrapping a lot quicker. So you're going to select the threads you want to use. You're going to fan your fingers out, and you are then going to wrap the thread around your hand. Keep your fingers spread out because that will hold the tension of the wool. And you need to wrap the wool around a minimum of 100 times. When you've done this, you need to close your fingers and then very carefully and very gently ease the wool off of your hand. So you will have ended up with a sort of donut type shape with your wrapped wool, and you need to just lay that down, try and keep all the threads together, and you are going to start binding it all together. So you need to cut another length of wool. Okay, you might want to double that over to make it a little bit stronger. And then you are going to lay your donut of wrapped wool on top of the thread. Okay, and then you're going to just tie it. If you loop it twice and then pull it tight, that should hold. And you need to knot it as tightly as you can, and then double knot it to secure. Okay, so now you have made what looks like a bow shape, and you're going to take a pair of scissors and very gently just nibble away a few strands at a time, cutting the tops of the loops. This is what is going to release all the wool, and it will start to bulk out your pom-pom. Nibble away at all the loops on one side and then turn it over and do the same on the other side. Okay, so when you have released all the strands of wool and you've cut all the loops, give it a little bit of a shake. That will release any extra little bits of wool, make them fall out, and then you can either leave it as it is. I quite like the irregularity of the pom-pom when it's like this. It's a little bit scruffy, a little bit scrappy, but I quite like that look. But you may want to give it a trim, give it a bit of a haircut, and just change the shape a little bit. The choice is yours. Ta-da! So there's your first pom-pom, done really easily with just a hand, a pair of scissors and some wool. Okay, so the second technique is using a fork. So that will act the same way that your fingers did, but you are going to wrap your wool around the prongs of a fork. And again, you are going to need to do this at least 100 times. Try and keep the wool in a nice sort of regular pattern, so it's not too tight on one end and too baggy on the other. Then you're going to cut the excess off, and again very gently release it from the fork. And you have a much smaller little donut of wool there because obviously the fork is a lot smaller than your hand. And you're going to do exactly the same. Place the donut shape on the wool and tie tightly in the middle to create your bow shape. So using a fork obviously has created a much smaller pom-pom, so it's a little bit trickier with your scissors. Again, you have to just nibble it a little bit at a time and it will spring open and come to life. Okay, so that's the second pom-pom made, a mini pom-pom, because of the size of the fork that you've used. So the third technique is just using a little bit of scrap cardboard. The stronger the better, but even just a piece from an old box will do. And you're going to cut yourself a rectangle, and obviously the size of the rectangle you use will depend on what size pom-pom you want to make. So you're going to cut a center slither out as shown, and this is slightly different. You're going to get your little piece of thread and you're going to, I've doubled it over, and you're going to push it through the little slit that you have cut, and that's going to end up being the threads that you tie the pom-pom up with. So you need to hold them out of the way and then just start wrapping your wool around the cardboard edge as shown. Again, try not to wrap it too tightly because the cardboard will bend and you'll lose the regular shape that you're going for. So remember to wrap at least 100 times. The more you wrap, the more full your pom-pom will be. So with this one, when you finished wrapping, you just release the 2 long threads that you put over in the first place and bring them back over your wrapped pom-pom as shown in the video, and again tie them really tightly, and then you gently ease it off of the card. If at this stage it feels a little bit loose, then you can tie it again now you've taken it off the card, and then you're going to follow the same instructions and just gently snip at the loops you've created and release the fibres, and again it will just spring to life. And so the different size cards that you make will make different size pom-poms. So give it a try and have fun. Okay, so there are 3 different techniques to easily make pom-poms. The different techniques will create different size and different shape pom-poms, and you may also want to embellish them. You could add beads, you could perhaps tie feathers, you could put different coloured wools together, and that way you're going to be creating a really diverse range of pom-poms. So this is a great way to show diversity. These are all the same, they're all pom-poms, but each one is completely individual and unique. No 2 are alike, just like us.